This is The Top, where I interview entrepreneurs who are number one or number two in their industry in terms of revenue or customer base. You'll learn how much revenue they're making, what their marketing funnel looks like, and how many customers they have.
I'm now at $20,000 per talk.
5 and 6 million.
He is hell-bent on global domination.
We just broke our 100,000 units sold mark.
And I'm your host, Nathan Latka.
Okay, Top Tribe, this week's winner of the $100 is Daniel Al-Sudini. He's based overseas, he's an employee at a current company, and can't wait to break free. For your chance to win $100, Top Tribe, simply subscribe to the podcast now and then text the word Nathan to 33444 to prove that you did it. Again, text the word Nathan to 33444 to prove that you did it. I give away $100 every Monday. Many people ask me what tool I used to sell my first company, Heyo. The answer is thetopinbox.com. I used it to send emails, schedule emails to be sent out later, and set reminders inside my inbox so I would know when potential buyers were actually interested, and I easily remember to follow up with ones that hadn't replied to me. You can try it for free at thetopinbox.com. This is episode 542. Coming up tomorrow morning, you'll learn from Oleg of People.ai. They're getting ready to close a massive round. See what he shares live. Nathan Latka here. Good morning, folks. Our guest this morning is COnor Lee. He's the founder and CEO of HipLead.com. The company helps leading B2B companies scale their outbound sales with high-quality lead generation and outbound campaigns. Before founding HipLead, COnor founded several other companies, including Telfy, which was in Y Combinator Winter 2011 batch. Prior to that, he worked as a lobbyist and led statewide political campaigns. COnor, are you ready to take us to the top?
I'm ready.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. Thanks for coming on. Hey, tell us real quick, because you're not doing Telfy now, and that was in Y Combinator Winter 2011. What happened to it?
Well, like a lot of, early stage startups, you got to think of them like, they're sort of like I think it was Paul Graham. He used to always talk about startups as little baby turtles. There would be 1,000 of them on the beach, and then only 200 of them would actually make it to the surf, and only 150 of them would actually make it to be adult turtles. So we did a lot of fun things and learned a lot, but didn't make it past its infancy.
Yeah,
so.
I was going to say, COnor, don't be shy. Tell us what happened. Seriously, people don't talk about how to shut down a business. There was a moment where you realized, shit, this is not going to work. How do I shut this down while I still save face? Where my ego doesn't take a big hit and where everyone doesn't think I'm a total loser. How'd you shut it down in an efficient way?
Well, at the time, I was lucky enough to have another co-founder that was sort of wanted to keep it going. So basically, the backstory is basically, we were doing a couple $1,000s a month of revenue. We were a couple months out of YC, and the company itself was basically trying to do Google Voice for Business, compete with Grasshopper. As a telephony startup that was built on Twilio. And we got some good traction, mainly among Canadians, interestingly enough, because Google Voice didn't work in Canada. And we did. And so we got a lot of traction. But at the end of the day, it wasn't something that, where we saw a nice large win on the horizon. We kind of did a lot of math and did a lot of understanding of what the market looked like. And we did the calculations. We understood, hey, you know what? Now is the time to pull the plug. So I decided to take off and start a new venture. And my co-founder at the time kept it going.
Oh, so it's still going.
He's spun it down since then.
Oh, okay.
But I think it sort of petered off over the years. But yeah, I believe last I checked the site was still up.
So now you're doing HipLead. Fast forward now. What does HipLead do and what's your revenue model? How do you make money?
Yeah, so HipLead, we help companies scale their outbound sales, and we make money basically by working with sales and marketing teams to do a lot of the things that are repetitive in their sales process, lead generation, some sales ops functions, and then actually help them on a consulting basis to run their outbound email campaigns and outbound sales. And we charge companies between $2,000 and $4,000 a month on average. I think our biggest client is around $20,000 a month. Yeah. And we basically help them to scale their outbound sales. We're usually working with their demand gen team or with their sales ops team.
And as of December 2016, how many customers are you working with?
We have 30 customers right now.
Okay, so if I take kind of your minimum ARPU that you just articulated monthly of 2K times the 30K, is it fair to say you're doing at least 60 grand in MRR?
Yeah, at least we're doing more than double that.
Okay, oh wow. Okay, so it's much closer to 4K than it is 2K.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
Okay, and what year did you launch the business in?
So the company was started originally. It launched in 2013, but I started working on it in 2012.
Okay. Sole founder, or do you have a co-founder?
I was originally the sole founder. I had a co-founder for a little bit. I started as a solo founder, brought a founder on, solo founder again. So
the one you brought on ended up not working. Is that accurate?
Exactly. Yeah. So my former co-founder Ed, we're still great friends. Ed wanted, Ed's a traveler, and it was. I think the last time I spoke to him, he had been hanging out on a beach in Thailand for 6 months, and before that, he was in Greece. So
I can imagine the Slack conversations. Connor, like, I can't be in the office. Greece is calling my name. I have to go. And you're going, there's no internet connection. If something happens, how do we fix it? Right.
Exactly. No, he's a great guy, and I'm a little jealous sometimes, but I think it's awesome.
Tell us how you amicably wound that down. Like, I assume you gave him equity? Did it just have a cliff, so you just executed the cliff and got the equity back in the company, or what?
Yeah, exactly. So it was I've always had the majority ownership of the company, and so he was co-founder for about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And so, basically when he was done, we made sure. I've started a few companies now, and I always make sure that my legal docs are everything's shored up in the very beginning. So, everything was clear between us the entire time. And then when he decided to part ways, he kept his ownership of it, and the stuff he did invest, the company purchased back.
Okay, got it. Okay, so he made it by, like, I know average cliff is typically a year, average vesting is typically 4 years. He made it past the year part. So he left with some equity that already vested, but what hadn't invested, you were able to keep.
Exactly. Yeah, the company has it back in the pool. So
yeah, those things are great. It makes the split much more lovable and easier.
Yeah, exactly. It would be a nightmare. I mean, I've heard horror stories. I mean, some of my friends that were in YC had companies before they were in YC, and that had just crazy cap tables, right?
Yeah.
Where
it is. So. Part of it is like what people teach about cap tables. It sounds great in theory, but executing is much more difficult, and it's much easier just throw out equity in the beginning just to get that first developer building your MVP, and you just need it done because you have 20 grand in pre-sales,
Totally. So you're like, get it, here it is. Whatever you want, get it done.
Get it in and go, and you don't even nothing's shored up. What do you use to shore up your legal docs? Is there a lawyer you really like, or is there an online tool you use to do that?
I've sort of bounced around between a few different lawyers. I don't really use online tools right now. I've heard Clerky is great from a lot of other people.
Which lawyer do you use, if you don't mind me asking?
I use, I think this is the startup attorneys. Okay. So it's Kai Ingersoll. Is my attorney.
Great. We'll link to that in the show notes just in case other people want to use them. They'll get a bunch of business from this, which will be great.
Awesome.
Is Bootstrapped, or have you raised capital?
So we bootstrap. We're officially a bootstrap. We raised a very small amount of non-venture debt just last year, but we've been. But in terms of other outside capital, very little.
So you raised a convertible note.
No, it was actually a loan from Lighter Capital.
Oh,
so it's sort of like a bank loan, but that it's invoice or revenue financing basically.
Got it. And how much was that for?
It was a little over $200,000. Okay, so it wasn't much. It was just to make a few key hires. We've been profitable since day one.
So you just pay that loan back, and then you still have all the equity.
Exactly.
What makes it worth it for them?
So generally it's. So for us, it's great as a founder. The reason why I liked it was that I didn't have to, it's no equity, zero equity at all. And I'm personally not liable. And so, if you take a bank loan, say, you have to have assets, like other than computers and people, like physical assets. And, it was a benefit. I mean, their interest is probably a little bit higher, I'd say.
What is it?
I don't think I can actually say.
Is it different for each deal? Is it negotiable? Is that why?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly. It's negotiable.
What's the minimum, do you think? Is that public?
I would
It's like 10%?
Oh, well, it depends. So what they do is they negotiate in all revenue-based financing companies have basically negotiate a total interest rate that needs to be paid back. And then what varies is, so the interest rate is fixed. And so it's not monthly. It's a total interest rate on the loan amount. And then it doesn't matter what speed you pay them back, you still owe the amount of money. What they do is they look at your revenue and they look at your revenue in your bank account, and they basically have an agreement where they will auto deduct a specific amount based on revenue from that month. So yeah.
Until it's paid back.
Until it's paid back. Exactly.
Interesting. That's cool. That's an interesting model. So let me just kind of put this in words just to kind of connect the loops for our listeners. If you raise called $100,000 from a kind of a loan officer like this, they might say, okay, the total interest on this is we want to make $20,000 on the $100,000 we put out. So the total kind of principal and interest that you owe back is $120,000. We don't care how much time you kind of pay this back over, but this is very risky because you have no assets for us to collect if you default. So what we're going to do, you're going to connect your bank account and we're going to deduct a proportion of your revenues every month to start paying this back. Is that right, Connor?
Exactly. And they do have a period in which the whole loan amount has to be paid back. Usually it's like 3 or 5 years is generally the standard, but they don't make you're not saying that you have to pay this amount per month over that period of time.
Any covenants? Do they require you keep a percent in your bank all the time or anything like that?
Yeah, I think there are things like that, but usually these types of loans are only available to companies that have, profitable functional businesses doing, over $1 million in ARR. Yep. I think that's their model. And I think the other companies that do it are pretty similar. So it doesn't work for a very, very early stage company. But it does work if you have a business that is scalable, that has real revenue. It's a really nice option. And I think a lot of other founders are looking into it.
And what was the name of the guys again?
Lighter Capital.
Lighter Capital. Very cool.
Yeah, they're based up in Seattle.
Okay, let's keep going forward. We kind of got off track, but I think it's a valuable lesson. It's we don't have people do deals like that very often on the show, so that was good to learn. So we talked about ARPU $4,000. We talked about MRR being somewhere around $120,000. You've been around long enough where you probably have a good sense of churn. What's your customer churn monthly?
So we do deals in terms of usually it's a minimum of 3 months, but we do 6 and 1 year deals, with our clients. And so, on a monthly basis, we're at 15% churn, generally.
Annually or monthly?
Usually at a, let's see. Well, we don't actually calculate it monthly, but
yeah, so I was say 15% would be really high monthly. I would see that being maybe annually. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's annual?
Yeah, it's annual.
Got it. Good. All right. And then what about a customer acquisition cost? What are you willing to spend to get a customer?
For us, probably close to 500.
Okay. And you're okay saying that because you have a good understanding of what your lifetime value is. What do you kind of project your lifetime value of a customer is?
We're right now at $16,000.
Okay. And I want to understand why you're so certain about that. Teach us. What do you use to calculate that?
Well, we've been in business long enough that I've got, good historical data on revenue. And so, we basically, do a dump of all our revenue data, all our client data, and then, effectively, ran the numbers for it. And so that's a backwards looking number. We said, how many customers we had, what's the average deal size of these customers over this period of time. And then based on churn rates of different cohorts that we have at different periods, we're going to project that the LTV is this amount. So, there is some guesstimation in there. It depends on what, period of growth you're in. But the main thing is to do a cohort analysis on things that are looking at doing actual cohort analysis of things that have finished their entire cycle, and things that are different cohorts that are in it.
Makes good sense. Take us back to that first year in business, 2012. Do you remember what your revenue was that first year?
It wasn't a lot. It was trying to think, probably like $200,000 the first year. So it was. We had employees already from day one. Yep. So HipLead was started basically as a consultancy initially, and it started because I had been running marketing at a after Telfy, I left Telfy, I joined my friend's company, and it was called Buyer's Best Friend, and it was a B2B startup in the food space. B2B food company. And we scaled that company up to a pretty large amount in revenue without spending any money on marketing. And we did it pretty much with outbound sales, with outbound emailing, web crawling and whatnot. And so I was there for about 18 months, and I left, and a lot of my other buddies who were founders said, "Hey, can you do the same thing that you guys did at BBF for us?" And so I was playing around with a few different startup ideas. One was a consumer idea, and my friend, I turned around and I said, "Sure, I'll help you. And they were paying me, each of them were paying me a couple $1,000 a month. And then all of a sudden,
professional services almost, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then fast forward, take us up to 2015. What'd you guys do? Like $1 million, $1.2 million, something like that in 2015?
Yeah, it was just under $1 million in 2015.
Got it. And it sounds like at your current MRR, is about 120 grand. So ARR is looking kind of pretty looking forward. Are you planning to raise capital, or is that not something you guys are remotely interested in?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it is. There's always a good time to do it. It's not absolutely, on the table, but there's always options around. So,
yeah. What's your current team size?
We are 8 people in SF, and then we've got other folks that are remote as well. So we've got about, I'd say, 16 total at the company.
You said 16 total of 8 in SF and 8 remote.
Yep.
Awesome. Where are the remote people?
All over the place. Okay. We've some devs in South America, and we actually try to get people as often as we can in the Americas, just because it's so much easier for communication. Without the time zones. We have folks in Asia. We have folks in Eastern Europe. We have folks in Western Europe as well.
Folks, I may have to stop doing the podcast. I will tell you why. I have found a business and I'm ready to go all in. It's the one I want to take public by the time I turn 30. It's called thetopinbox.com. And here's why I know it's going to be big, very big. There are so many other companies charging way too much for this right now. Yesware, ToutApp, Boomerang. That's to do things like send later reminders and auto follow-ups for salespeople inside of your Gmail inbox. I'm doing it. I'm going to do it for free. We have so many people using it. It's growing so fast. And we do many of the things that salespeople love. We don't require people to leave the inbox to go log into a website. It's so simple to use. And I have to tell you, salespeople are like drooling over this thing. They're like licking the drool off their keyboard. They're loving this thing so much. Thetopinbox.com. Go install it now. Use it for free, people. Okay, I like you because you're listeners. Use it for free before I decide to start charging for it. Go right now to thetopinbox.com. Okay, Top Tribe, I have to tell you, many people go, "Nathan, you came out of nowhere. Your website's growing so fast. How'd you do it?" The answer is simple. So I use HostGator. I don't know if you guys know that yet, but I use HostGator. And the reason I do, they have like about 4,500 free templates I can use because I don't code. They've got a great e-commerce plugin. And guys, I bug the heck out of their support. They've got 24/7 support, which I love. So what I've done is I've worked with them. You guys know I make great deals. If you go to hostgator.com/Nathan, you can sign up, get your own domain for 30% off and a 45-day money-back guarantee. Okay, again, I make great deals for you guys. Go to hostgator.com/Nathan to grab that now. Let's Connor, jump into these final questions of the famous 5. These are one-word answers. You ready?
Sure.
Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
The Hard Thing About Hard Things, Ben Horowitz.
Number 2, is there a CEO that you're following or studying right now?
I love Elon Musk.
Number 3.
So does everyone.
Yeah, that's okay. Hey, number 3, is there a favorite online tool you have, like TopTal?
Zapier.
And number 4, yes or no, do you get 8 hours of sleep every night?
No.
With the giggle. What's your current situation? Are you married, single? Do you have kids?
Single, but my girlfriend and I live together. We've been together for a while.
So. No kids then, right?
No kids. No kids.
Right. And how old are you?
I'm 35.
35. All right. Last question, Connor. Take us back 15 years. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
Well, I was running political campaigns then. I wish I'd realized that politics was generally was a sort of. I learned a lot of things, but I wish that I had spent less time in politics, more time in tech in general. So.
Top Tribe will link to all of Connor's resources he just mentioned in the show notes at nathanlatka.com/the top 542. Again, founded HipLead back in 2012, did first year revenue somewhere around $200,000. They're now serving 30 customers. They've raised on a loan about 200 grand. They did 900 grand in 2015 revenue. Average revenue per user per month is around 4K. They're doing about 120 grand in MRR here in December 2016. Annual churn is less than 15%, spending $500 to acquire $16,000 lifetime value customers, and helping B2B folks, business companies get much better leads with our team of 16 spread across San Francisco and other remote locations in the world. Connor, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
If you enjoyed Connor today, go back and listen to Bobby Martin yesterday. His company Vertical IQ has hit 175 grand in monthly recurring revenue, helping 140 banks prepare for company meetings with a lot of data.
Hey, Top Tribe, I love giving away free money. I feel like Oprah giving away cars, and I have something special for you today. How many of you have heard our super sharp guests talk about success they've had with Facebook and Google ads? Well, all of you listening right now, yes, if you're listening, you get $100 in free AdWords. Here's how you get it, okay? Again, thanks for listening. Get the free $100 from Google, right, when you sign up with my website host provider, HostGator. Go sign up now to get your free money. HostGator.com/Nathan. Again, that's HostGator.com/Nathan. Okay, Top Tribe, I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. And don't forget, before you listen to any other episodes, subscribe on iTunes right now for your chance to win $100 every Monday.